I never thought I'd be the kind of woman writing about her life on Reddit, but I guess that's what happens when reality starts sounding too much like bad fiction. I'm 32, from Ohio, and 3 years ago, my world fell apart overnight. My fiancé, Mark, was a calm, reliable kind of guy, or at least that's what I thought. We'd been together for 4 years, engaged for 6 months, and living together for almost a year. He had a teenage sister, Lily, who'd been struggling after their mom passed away. She lived with their dad until he remarried, and then she just floated. Mark and I took her in, temporarily, until she finished high school. I agreed because she seemed sweet but lost. I thought it would bring us closer as a couple, start preparing us for our own family someday. For the first month, everything was fine. Lily was quiet, polite, almost too careful. Then things started to shift. Late night calls, unexplained absences, money missing from my wallet. Mark always made excuses for her. She's grieving. She's just a kid. Don't be hard on her. I believed him because I wanted to believe us. One Thursday morning, I woke up and the house was empty. Mark's car was gone, so was Lily's duffel bag. I figured he was dropping her at school. But then noon came, then 6 p.m. No response to my calls, texts, emails. His phone was disconnected by the next morning. His office said he hadn't been in for days. By day 3, I filed a missing person report. That night, I got an email from Mark. One line. I need some time away. Don't look for me. It's better this way. No explanation, no mention of Lily, nothing. A week later, I learned through one of his coworkers that Mark had quit his job a month earlier. The police said there was no sign of foul play. Adults have the right to disappear if they want. That's how I became the woman left behind, with a house I couldn't afford, bills I didn't know existed, and a ring that meant nothing anymore. I tried to move on. Therapy, new job, new haircut, new city. 2 years later, I was mostly okay. Still cautious, still distrustful, but functional. Then last month, just as I'd stopped checking the door every time I heard footsteps, he showed up again. He looked different. Thinner, unshaven, eyes hollow. And beside him, someone else stepped forward. Lily. Older now, legal adult, but the same wide, guilty eyes. He said, "Can we come in?" My stomach dropped. I didn't answer. He looked at me and whispered, "Please, I just need to explain." That's when I realized I was still standing in the doorway of the same house where my life had fallen apart, wondering whether to open it again. I let them in. I don't even know why. Maybe I needed to see what kind of story could possibly justify vanishing for 2 years. Maybe part of me wanted to see fear in his eyes. They sat on the couch like strangers at a doctor's office. Mark didn't look at me right away. He just kept rubbing his palms together, eyes darting around the room like he expected to see ghosts. Lily sat next to him, silent, picking at the sleeve of her hoodie. Finally, he said, "I know there's no excuse for what I did." That much was true. He started talking about pressure, about feeling trapped, about how he couldn't handle being responsible for everyone. Said that after his mom died, his dad dumped everything on him. Lily, the bills, the funeral costs. Then, when we got engaged, he felt like he was drowning. So one night, he packed a bag and left. With Lily. Apparently, he'd taken her to get her away from their father. They went to stay with some woman he'd reconnected with online, an ex from his early 20s who lived in Arizona. It wasn't romantic, he said quickly, like that made it better. She just helped us get on our feet. He looked at me then. I didn't know how to explain it without ruining your life too. I almost laughed. So instead, you decided to disappear? He nodded, eyes glistening. It was selfish, I know, but I thought if I left quietly, you'd move on faster. I asked Lily if that was true, if she'd known he was planning to run. Her face went pale. She said quietly, "He told me you were okay with it." That hit like a punch. Mark muttered something about being mentally unstable back then, about not thinking straight, about how they'd planned to come back after a few months, but life got complicated. I asked him what complicated meant. He hesitated, then said the woman in Arizona had gotten pregnant, that he'd tried to make it work, but it fell apart. He lost the baby, the woman left, and he finally saw what a disaster he'd made of everything. I couldn't speak. There was a ringing in my ears, like my brain was trying to block the sound of his voice. Then he said something I didn't expect. "I came back because I need your help." I just stared at him. He said Lily had been living with him all this time, but he couldn't take care of her anymore. She'd gotten into legal trouble, nothing serious, just some bad decisions, and the court was considering placing her with relatives. But since I'd been her legal guardian once, the judge wanted to know if I'd be willing to vouch for her character. He was shaking when he said it. "I just need you to tell them she's a good kid, that she deserves another chance." Lily started crying quietly beside him. I looked at them both and realized I didn't know which part was worse, the betrayal, the nerve, or the fact that some small, pathetic part of me still wanted to believe there was something worth saving in them. I told them I'd think about it. Then I asked them to leave. After they were gone, I sat there for a long time, staring at the dent they'd left on my couch. The silence in the house felt heavier than it ever had before. That night, I dreamed of packing my own bag and disappearing, but I didn't. I just lay there, wondering when exactly I'd stopped being the victim and started becoming the judge. The next morning, I woke up to 3 missed calls and a voicemail from an unknown number. It was Lily. Her voice trembled as she said, "I'm sorry for everything. I didn't know what he told you back then. I didn't have a choice." Then she hung up. I stared at my phone for a long time. The rational part of me said ignore it, but the part that remembered her as a lost 16-year-old eating cereal at my kitchen counter couldn't. So I called the number back. She answered on the first ring. "You don't have to help me," she said immediately. "I just wanted you to know. I didn't mean for any of this to happen." Her story came out in pieces. She said Mark told her we'd broken up, that I'd moved on, and wanted nothing to do with them. She followed him because she thought she was all he had left. But things spiraled fast. He couldn't keep jobs, moved constantly, started drinking. By the time she realized he'd lied, she was stuck. Then she whispered, "He's not well. He shouldn't be around anyone right now." That was the moment my anger turned into something else, something messier. The next day, I went to the courthouse. The case was small, a hearing to decide whether Lily would be allowed to continue a probation program instead of jail time for petty theft. Mark was there, unshaven and nervous, glancing at me like a man hoping for mercy. Lily looked pale but composed. When the judge asked if anyone wanted to speak on her behalf, I stood up. I told the truth. I said Lily had made mistakes, but that she'd been failed by every adult around her, including her brother and me. I said she deserved a chance to start over. When it was done, the judge granted probation. Lily looked at me with tears in her eyes, mouthing thank you. Mark tried to approach me afterward, but I turned and walked away. That night, I found an envelope on my doorstep. Inside was a note in Mark's handwriting. "You did what I couldn't. Thank you." No apology, no explanation, just that. I haven't seen him since. Lily emails me sometimes. Short updates, photos from her community college classes. She's rebuilding her life slowly. I keep my distance, but I answer. I guess it's my way of ending the story on my own terms. Sometimes I still wonder what would have happened if I'd slammed the door that night instead of letting them in. But then I think maybe closure doesn't come from punishing people. Maybe it comes from finally realizing they can't hurt you anymore. It's been 6 months since that hearing, and sometimes I still wake up expecting another knock at my door. But it never comes. The silence used to feel suffocating, now it feels earned. People always talk about forgiveness like it's this noble thing, like if you forgive, you're suddenly lighter, better. I don't think that's true. Forgiveness, at least for me, isn't about letting anyone off the hook. It's about refusing to carry them any further. I sold the house 2 months ago, the same one where Mark proposed, where Lily cried after her first bad grade, where I waited for 2 years hoping someone who didn't deserve me would come back. I bought a small condo in a different city. Fewer memories, fewer ghosts. Lily's doing okay. She works part-time at a bookstore and sends me pictures of stray cats that remind her of me, which I'm choosing to take as a compliment. I don't think she'll ever fully untangle herself from what happened, but maybe none of us do. Maybe survival just means learning to live with the knots. As for Mark, I heard through Lily that he checked himself into rehab. No contact since. I don't wish him well, but I don't wish him harm either. He's just gone, and that's enough. Sometimes I scroll back through my old photos, engagement parties, vacations, the version of myself who believed in happy endings, and I almost don't recognize her. She looks softer, but also smaller, like she hadn't learned yet that love isn't supposed to cost you everything you are. People ask if I'd ever trust again. I tell them the truth. I don't know, but I'm not afraid to try. Because somewhere between being abandoned and being asked for help by the same man who broke me, I realized something. Survival isn't about holding on. It's about finally letting go and walking away without looking back. If you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.